Everyone, welcome to the UkeStuff channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at this instrument. It is the Hricane Cutaway Slim Travel Ukulele. It's their number UkeSW-02. With this company, I've seen them being reviewed a few places over time, including Got a Ukulele. And I've wanted to review one for quite some time, and they were very kind and sent me this one to review. And I didn't know which one I was going to be getting. And this looks remarkably like another product. And one of the things that I'm doing actually is I'm bumping this instrument up 1 week in the review because I cannot wait to swap the strings on this instrument and then compare it to its competitor. Head-to-head competition or a comparison. So I'm really looking forward to that. What you're getting is a laminate back and sides, solid spruce top travel ukulele. Very, very arched back, closed gear tuners made by Hricane. And as I said in the unboxing, if you look at the name Hricane, CME, Create Music Easy is what I was told that stands for. And then Hricane is the name, it's a woman's name, basically. So here, and again, in the United States, perhaps in England as well, UK, we look at this instrument and say, hey, you know, they didn't spell hurricane right. Well, that's not how they're worrying about it. It's a person's name, first name, rather than an item. So we're not saying it's like Hurricane August or whatever that would be coming across the Atlantic or whatever. So this is the instrument. Let's talk about it. What I do in these reviews is, first of all, I talk about the subjective aspects of the instrument, including price, because price can be subjective. Then I talk about the objective information, kind of the specs, and then I give it an overall score. So let's do that. The cost of these, currently, just looked it up on Amazon.com right now. It was priced at $89, and with that, you get a little gig bag. The gig bag actually is really nice. I think it's an improvement over the competitor's product as well. It's actually thicker than it looks and kind of a neat material. It's hard to get on camera, but I like the gig bag. The gig bag to me is a plus. It is made for the thin travel size, so that's good. You also get a little pouch. You get a strap. Actually, and I kind of like it. It's not overly thick, which I kind of like. I have my own straps, so I'm not really interested in straps, but I guess why a new player would want it. You get a bag with some extra strings, a cloth, and then I think a couple picks, if I remember right. It does not come with a second strap button, which I added. It does come with that strap button, so I added that one myself on the heel there. And so that's what you get for $89. That's quite a bargain. The competitor's instrument generally sells anywhere between $215 and $250, sometimes more than that. So it's really quite a bargain. As a result, the value is incredible for what you're getting here, and that's what I'm going to say. Build quality. Overall, really, really nicely put together. I see two flaws. And I don't even know if I can show you one of them. There is a slight flaw in the purfling. The purfling isn't the binding. It's got a black binding and then a white-black stripe. That black-white stripe after the binding is called the purfling. There's a flaw in the purfling there. That's really super minor and being super picky. But the other one that actually does matter to me a little bit is the string spacing. If you notice, strings 1 and 2 are closer together than the other strings. And I've measured it, and I know not only does it visually look that way, that's the case. So if there's any criticism for this ukulele in terms of build quality, it's the nut is not cut evenly. That's it, really, other than the little thing on the purfling. And if worse came to worse, you could buy a replacement nut for, you know, just a couple of bucks versus another yet close to $180 or so. So keep that in mind. The appearance, I think it looks really good. It looks dead close to the competitor. The cutout looks nice. It's thin, so when you play it, people will notice it and they'll talk about how thin it is. The only thing I don't really like is the choice of walnut as the wood. The competitor generally has kind of a rosewood laminate. I would have gone with a different laminate wood for the choice of that, since you've got the spruce. And the spruce is kind of wide grain, which doesn't bother me. But the competitors, as we'll see at another time, is very tight grain. So it's kind of a wider grain spruce, but still very resonant and a super arched back. So the criticism there in terms of appearance would be maybe not walnut, maybe. I mean, that's really picky. It's, you know, you're not even going to be seeing the walnut most of the time as you're playing it. And the rest of it with the rosette and the cutout and the binding and the purfling, just, you know, it is an attractive instrument even if you don't like the walnut. Leave it at that. Availability, you can order these right now at Amazon or at Hricane.com. As for playability, here's where I have a couple issues with it, and I'll also have to talk about why that doesn't matter so much to me. So I'll go over both of them. In terms of playability, it's got a very narrow nut. It's a 35 millimeter nut, but it's actually smaller than that. And then with the string spacing the way that it is, the string spacing is even closer than normal by a couple millimeters from G to A at the first fret, rather than as wide as it could be. So again, the one criticism is the way the nut is cut does impact its playability a bit. The neck is a comfortable 22 millimeters deep. We'll get more to those specifics later. So at the third fret, I always measure from the top of the strings to the back of the neck just to see how chunky it is. And it's a pretty comfortable shape otherwise. So that said, the action is really pretty high. It was 0.75 millimeters, not a full millimeter, but higher than I'd like at the first fret. And it's 3.5 millimeters at the 12th fret, which is way too high. So I would love to see that action get addressed. I did take care of some sharp fret ends right away. That's easy enough to do, but that had to be done. And again, I'm not a big fan of these strings. They did not say they were Aquila Super Nalgat strings. They look a lot like them. They just are not my favorite to play. So I am looking forward to, as soon as I'm done with this review, putting these strings on it so that when I compare it to the competitor's product that also has these Martin 620s on it, then it's really looking equivalent to equivalent instrument. That's what I'm looking forward to doing. So playability, it's tighter than it needs to be. For me, it's a little harder to press down because of the action, and I can't wait to address a couple of those things right after this video, literally right after this video. Sound quality, I think it's really quite good. If I had the playability issues fixed, it would be really, really good. Sometimes I find myself having to press really hard to make an F chord, especially at the first finger. And as a result, sometimes I don't press hard enough because I'm not used to pressing that hard, and I get a little bit of buzzing when I'm playing that F chord. That's not, well, it is the instrument's fault in the term that it's not set up correctly, but as soon as it's set up, that won't be the instrument's fault. That's not a fatal flaw in any way. So the sound is loud, as you would expect from a spruce top, also loud as you'd expect from this sort of slim/thin line appearance, and with that super arched back, which is even arched more than its competitor, it really shoots the sound out. If you take this to your local ukulele jam, you are going to be heard loud and clear. As a result, it lacks some of the darkness and the depth of a traditional deep-bodied ukulele, which is to be expected, so it's brighter than you would think, which is pretty much the same as with its competitor too. So now let's talk about specifics with this instrument. And I'm going to zoom in. I'm not wearing my glasses so I can actually see what the numbers are. I've got my iPad over here that I'm looking at. It's a tenor instrument, 17 inches from the nut to the saddle. Has 18 frets. It looks like roughly 14 to the body, although you do have the cutout over there. It does have side position markers, which is nice, and it's a traditional double bout instrument. The soundboard is Spruce. The back and sides are laminate walnut. And the fretboard on this one is walnut, as is the bridge. What I did want to say about the bridge is it is a slotted bridge, which means you tie a knot and you just pull them up there. I like that. Makes strings changes pretty easy. It is not a radius fretboard. It is flat across. The nut and saddle appear to be bone, so that could be replaced pretty easily. And it is not a compensated saddle. And I will have to see how much more I can bring that down because there's not a whole lot of room to bring that saddle down. So hopefully I can bring it down a little bit. It's a satin finish all the way around. It's not a gloss. And the overall length is 26 inches from tip to tail. And it weighs 1 pound, 1.7 ounces. Very light and very, very well balanced. Closed geared tuners that work just fine. No issues with that. Again, action is 0.75 at the first fret and 3.5 millimeters at the 12th fret. So if you buy one of these, you're going to need to set it up or have somebody set it up for you. As a side note, the competitor's product, same story. So that doesn't make me upset there at all. Setup is generally something that you have to do on a lot of ukuleles, and this is no exception. The nut width is a very narrow 34.10 millimeters. That's smaller than 35, but generally a 35 millimeter nut is anywhere between 34 and 36 millimeters. That's kind of how it falls into the range. So the challenge is really the spacing at the first fret, where you have that uneven spacing. Between strings 4 and 3, you have about 8.6 millimeters. Between strings 3 and 2, you have about 8.6 millimeters. But between strings 2 and 1, you only have 7 millimeters. And that makes quite a bit of difference. So G to A, it's only 26.63 millimeters G to A, which is going to make it feel tighter for a lot of people. So if you have really big hands, that setup is going to be a problem. Now, we have seen people with a 35 millimeter nut that just increase the spacing a little bit, and then it makes it much easier to play. So if there's any criticism, again, to be leveled at this instrument, really, it's that nut, and that could be fixed relatively easy by the company in the future. In the depth at the 3rd fret, I always measure again from the top of the strings to the bottom of the neck, is 22.29 millimeters. So it's a pretty comfortable neck profile. All we have to do is dress the nut, and you have pretty much a perfect instrument. So let's summarize this instrument. I'm really quite excited to be able to bring this instrument to you because I've seen a lot of people reviewing Hricanes, and I just haven't had a chance to play one. You're not going to find these in a store. They're always an online order situation. So if you want to try one, you have to buy one. And so as a result, it's nice to finally hold one in my hands. Overall, I'm really, really impressed at what I'm seeing. Again, the only issue really is the nut, and it's not fatal. It works just fine the way it is. The string spacing is just tighter than it needs to be on the fretboard, and that could be fixed. I can fix it and order another nut, but the company can definitely fix it too. But when you look at what you get for the price, for $90, and you compare it to the competitor, this, if you're looking for a travel ukulele, a thin line travel with a solid top, with laminate back and sides, this is the way to go. Unless you have a dedication to the other brand, if you're looking for the experience of an instrument, this is it. I mean, I don't know how to say that any other way, and I'm looking forward to bringing a head-to-head, again, between this instrument and its competition, and letting you see that and understand why I really came to that conclusion. I think it's great. So, what do I rate it? Because of the nut issue, 4 ukuleles, which is the same as the competitor's score, and it would have been a 4.5 if that would not have been the case. Because you're getting everything you do with the competitor, plus a little bit more, at a fraction of the price. So it's still got that same boomy sound. It's got that really bright sound that you expect out of these thin line travels, which again just amaze you that much sound comes out of it. So that is, again, the Hricane Cutaway Slim Travel Ukulele, the UkeSW-02. Thanks for watching the review, and we'll have more content for you soon.